A while back, I created this introduction to GLSL shaders. I really like the way it looks. Well, today we're taking this scene and we're going to redo it. And instead of using GLSL, we'll use TSL, the Three.js Shading Language. And this is what it looks like. If you've always wanted to learn the basics of Three.js, check out my course, Learn Three.js Basics. Also, check out our partner, Exponent, to ace your next technical interview. What is the Three.js Shading Language? It's a new approach to productive and maintainable shaders because it's written right inside your Three.js scene using JavaScript. And it's compiled at runtime into the shader. It's flexible and it's pretty powerful. Let's check it out. You can get this from my GitHub. Swirling Rainbows. We're going to start with GLSL version. We're going to refactor it so that we're using patterns that I like. Then we're going to update it to use the WebGPU renderer instead of the WebGL renderer. And that will open the door for us to use TSL, the Three.js Shading Language, from here to here. To show you the difference, what the shader looks like all by itself, looks like this, bunch of concentric circles. Well, this shader looks like this. It's really just a beautiful rainbow. And that maps to these spheres in this way, and then you animate them and you get a cool effect. Let's start here. I guess the first thing I'll do is to update the imports. So we're going to change this import map to import the regular Three.js module to this 3.webGPU instead. Save it and it blows up saying WebGL renderer is not a constructor. I need to change it to the WebGPU renderer now. Boom. So that worked. Interesting. It doesn't like the shaders anymore though. Shader material is not compatible. The node material though, like that, and get rid of these uniforms and stuff. Is it still mad? Oh yeah, render async. There's a convention when using WebGPU that's different from the WebGL pattern. With WebGL, I just set up this animate method and use a request animation frame to call it again and again, kicking it off with this initial call. We're not going to do that anymore. Instead, get rid of this request animation frame. I'm going to come up here and say renderer.set animation loop, pass in the name of our animate method. In this case, it's called animate. Right? Ew. I also am going to get rid of this outside function call because I think that's interfering here. Now, all of this stuff is just inline. And let's see if we have any errors. No errors. With WebGPU, you have to tell scene.background is equal to a color. Yeah, and I don't want it to be black because I won't see anything. I'm going to make it kind of a dark gray. Now I can still see my black spheres. Let's import the orbit controls from 3 examples, JSM, actually just JSM. Is that right? No, that's not right. Hang on. 3/add-ons. That's the path I want to use. Controls, and then put an update call inside the animate method, like so. And now I should be able to pan around inside the scene. Let's get something happening with these spheres first. I'm not using this anymore, or this uniforms. That means from in our render loop here, get rid of these uniform updates because they don't exist anymore. Save that. Great. On our mat, let's say mat.fragment node is equal to position local. That will cause an error because position local is not defined until we import it. Import position local from 3/TSL. Yay. So now our spheres are doing something again. Now that we've got that happening, I'm going to make this black instead. Scooch back just a hair. What else? I want this get ball to return just a mesh. And that means I need to redefine this, the way this update method is attached to the ball, like so. Mesh dot user data equals, and then I'll wrap that method with curly braces. Did that work? Oh, I guess I do it like that. There's a nice shorthand inside of a JavaScript object. Hold on, format it. Yeah. How does that work? It doesn't work great because it's mad now. It's trying to call update and it doesn't exist anymore. User data dot update. Okay, that's better. But now we're trying to add this to the scene. We need to do that. And what I'd rather do, instead of balls just being an array, I'm going to call this balls group and make it a new 3 group and add it to the scene. And now we'll add that. Okay, that breaks it again because now I'm trying to call this balls, which doesn't exist anymore. Children. There we go. In a flash of lightning, I have updated the scene with patterns that I like better. I think we're ready to dig into the TSL. So we can just work on the TSL right here. But there's value in pulling it out into a separate JavaScript file. So I want to set that up because it's going to get complicated. Import get rainbow material from get rainbow material. File I have not yet created. Let's create that. First I break it. Wish I hadn't broke it. Hang on. Yeah, let's create that now. Right click, new file, get rainbow material.js. And here we're going to, hang on. Let's import 3, star as 3 from 3. Great. And then import position local from TSL. Now, this line here where these 2 lines rather, get rainbow material, like that. Let's put this code in here. Function get rainbow material. Mat equals, hang on, const mat equals that. Return mat. And now we export that. Export default get rainbow material. And save that. And it breaks because balls group. What? Hold on. There we go. Now our rainbow material is in its own file and we can just focus on that. I think I'm going to pull this out like this because I can. Save it. It still works. What the hell is position local? How do I even describe that? Oh, I know how. Using the TSL wiki. Here we go. So position local is the local variable for position. It's a vec3. It represents... No, that doesn't help me. I'm looking for a nice handy description of position local. So the fragment node, I like to think of this as assigning a color. And when you say position local is the color, it's encoding the X, Y, and Z positions along the surface and giving you an RGB. Right now, it's very similar to a normal material. I want to tweak that position local so that it's looking more like this. If I wanted to, I could just pass the X value and that would blow it up. Hang on. Let's pull this out into its own method. We'll call this frag node. Function frag node. Paste that. const col equals vec3, and then return col. And this is going to break it because vec3 is not defined. You have to import that from. Great. Now we're just seeing the x coordinate. Let's turn off the rotation again. But if I change this to position local dot x or dot y rather, now we're seeing that and z. Hopefully that makes position local a little more clear. Let's go back to x. I'd like to chop that up into distinct bands. And here's how I want to do that. I'm going to say col equals col mul 10, and I'm going to floor that. Floor is going to give you only the integer value. It's going to throw away the fractional component. And then I'm going to multiply that by 0.1, and let's see what happens then. Oops, I need to import floor. My bad. I like to put the imports in alphabetical order. Don't need fract anymore. Assignment to a constant variable. Let's call this p instead. There, now I'm not assigning to it. Now let's call. Okay, do you see how we're getting those distinct bands now? I'm not getting enough of them though, so I'm gonna try to shift everything over. I mean, like I want to shift the light parts over to the dark parts, like this. Add 0.5. Okay, that's too much. 1.25. A little bit more. 0.3. I still want black, so don't lose the black. Give me a little black chunk. Yeah, that's it. That is the effect I wanted. Let's colorize this now. I'm going to use a couple of helper functions. Let's say Pavel Boychev. This guy. This guy has this repo, TSL textures, phenomenal stuff, really helpful for learning TSL. One of the helpful things is using an HSL conversion method. Let me just show you and maybe it'll make it more clear. There's this helper, boom, and there's this HSL method. Like so. Sort of a pain that I have to import each one of these individually. Hang on, what did I miss? Oh, FN. I want to explain function to you, but I don't have the words. Okay, so errors are gone. Now check this out. I'm going to call this hue instead and say const col is equal to HSL, the hue, saturation, and lightness. I want the saturation to be 1. And that was not what I expected at all. Why is, what, is there an error? Oh, I need to undo this vec3 usage here. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's it. So I'm passing this scalar value, not a vec3. Now we're not quite here yet because I want to animate those colors. Also, I want to get the lightness right. Like right now, the blues are too bright. This is sort of tricky. Let's see. What if I just did dot sub time? I think I'm already importing time. Yeah. Okay, that's horrible. Dot mul 0.2. That's 5 times slower. I mean, we could re-enable that rotation and call it a day. Like that. It's just the colors aren't right. I want to get those colors right. Right now they're popping too much. They're too saturated. I want them to desaturate as you get into the blues and purples. Inside my get rainbow material, I'm going to define a saturation variable, const sat is equal to the same thing as hue. Sure, let's see what that looks like. I'm just repeating exactly what the hue is. It's way too dark. and now it's gone forever. Okay, so that won't work. Let's see if we can fix that saturation property. So what I did here was hue dot, I don't think I need that mod one, dot 1 minus. So I'm going to invert it. Let's just see how that looks. And it's going to get too white, and then it's going to flop around. All right, I'm going to try the mod. Mod 1. Now we'll just get the fractional part again. Oh, I think we're getting closer. We're getting closer. We've got some nice dark purples, but the reds are way too light. So let's fix the reds. I'm going to scale this down by multiplying it by 0.5. Let's see how that looks. I think Bob's your uncle. That was the winner. Let's compare the code for the TSL versus the GLSL. Here's the TSL code, 33 lines. GLSL, about 50 lines or so. There's some comments in here. And also the vertex shader. Do we count that? Sure, another 6 lines. But I don't need to use this weird pattern where I'm loading asynchronously. I don't like that pattern. Plus, the Three.js Shading Language has a cool functionality where if you're trying to run it on a GPU, a WebGPU rather, and the device you're running on doesn't have that, it'll fall back to WebGL 2 or 3. I think it's WebGL 2. Pretty cool, right? Maybe try some variations with this. Instead of just having a grid layout, why don't you map it to a sphere? Try different colors, different patterns. I've got the spheres rotating in a pretty simple offset, but you could play with different offsets, have like concentric offsets, could look really cool. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, let me know in the comments. Make sure to share this because it really helps my channel grow. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.